YouTube was in with this your boy Zell. Back with another video. In this one, we got Curmel Moton receives racist attacks after his recent knockout win. Now, on Floyd Mayweather's undercard this past Saturday, Curmel Moton fought on that undercard and he looked spectacular. He looked like he grew a little bit, got a little taller. He filled out his frame. You can see his back look wider. He looked much bigger. And his opponent was his opponent, a grown ass man that he 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 handled him very easily in round one. But after that, he received racist attacks, like by a lot of racist guys who was mad at him for still fighting quote unquote easy fights. This is his fourth or fifth pro fight. Who was he supposed to fight? Tank? Like, bro, let's be real. He gonna fight his way up. If they can't compete, they can't compete. Let's get it.
Well, 8 years ago, people at the Mayweather gym had to call Floyd, had to get him on the phone to tell him about this 10-year-old that was making everyone in the gym cry. That kid grew up to be Curmel Moton.
5-0. Yes, sir. What? 7-0? 7-0, 7 knockouts. 7-0. The Gorilla. The Gorilla 3-0, 5-0. Double trouble. Double trouble? What they say?
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So as Curmel Moton starts to climb up the rankings, he's also climbing up all the way to the top of the coincidental list. For those of you guys who don't know, the coincidental list are the fighters that all coincidentally end up getting treated the same way by a particular demographic when it comes to the fans. And everyone on the coincidental list happened to coincidentally look the same. It started with Floyd Mayweather. Then it went to Andre Ward. Then it went to Terrence Crawford. Then it went to Devin Haney and Javante Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson. Now it is Curmel Moton's turn. And soon it will be Abdullah Mason's turn as well. So with that all being said, Curmel Moton, he just got his fifth win as a pro, knocking out a Mexican fighter in Mexico by the name of Victor Vasquez, who had a record of 5-2. Curmel Moton, he did exactly what he's supposed to do when it comes to a fighter on that level. He knocked him out in the very first round, in the first 30 seconds to be exact. So a day before this fight even took place, like after the weigh-in, I started to get some people sending me messages. They were showing me threads in the comment section of what racist fans were saying about Curmel Moton. Saying the same things that these racist fans always say about a fighter on a coincidental list. The only difference is they're saying it about a different fighter on a different date. Some of the comments were just straight out racist comments towards black people from Mexican fans.
Yeah, man. I try to stay out the boxing politics nowadays. Nowadays, I try to stay into the fighting styles, the techniques, the talents, and just debating about who which style beats what. Because when guys start throwing out slurs and racist remarks, they don't want to talk boxing. They want to play race games, and I don't have the mental capacity, or do I care enough to even acknowledge racists. But we have to acknowledge them. The sad fact is we have to acknowledge them because if not, they can tear a lot of these guys down if they're not mentally strong enough. And we have to let those guys know that hey, those guys who throwing those remarks can only verbally assault you because physically they have nothing. You know, they hide behind keyboards. They will never say anything like this to your face. None of those racist fans will come to Tank's face, Abdullah's face, Shakur's face, Hermel's face, and saying the crazy shit. They tried it with Devin. You saw what happened. So let's get it.
Fans, 85% of these comments are coming from Mexican fans. The other 15% are other Latinos. There were comments of them criticizing Curmel Moton's opposition, his level of opposition, saying the guy hasn't fought in a year. He's fighting bums, he's cherry picking, he's overrated, etc., etc., etc. Now, because the majority of fans that are saying these things about Curmel Moton are Mexican fans, I challenge you right now to find me a Mexican teenage prospect who's fighting better competition than Curmel Moton has in the first 5 fights of his professional career. Curmel Moton's first 3 professional fights were all against undefeated opponents, and some of them were prospects. Anthony Cuba was a prospect. In fact, if you haven't watched that fight on YouTube, go watch it. Listen to the commentary. Listen to how the commentators are praising Cuba. In fact, they were almost praising Cuba more than they were praising Moton, despite the fact that Moton was completely dominating him. So here's my point. You have these race fans that are saying, "Oh, this
Bro,
guy, he
look
just
at that pool
dominated."
counter, bro.
So here's my point.
Us.
You
Let's do
have
it
these
again.
race fans that are
Us.
saying, "Oh, this guy that he just knocked out, he hasn't fought in a year." But Anthony Cuba, he wasn't inactive and he was undefeated. So if race fans are complaining because they say that Cuba's last opponent, or the one he just knocked out, was inactive and he hadn't had a fight in a year, according to their own logic, they should be praising Moton for fighting against Anthony Cuba, right? But they didn't. We know what time it is. Not only did Moton start his career off fighting against 3 undefeated fighters, but Floyd Mayweather also wanted to put Moton in the ring with the champion Leigh Woods at the time, which Leigh Woods actually turned down. Man, when it comes to giving you guys some contrast, I can give you so many examples. If you're talking about an American professional boxer's resume at 5-0, let's look at the great Julio Cesar Chavez's record. Let's look at some of the guys he was fighting in his first 50 or 60 fights. Let's take a look at Julio Cesar Chavez's first 14 opponents. Out of the first 14 opponents, the first 2 opponents he fought had the best records, because his first opponent, Bobby Fernandez, was making his debut like Chavez was. His second opponent was 2-0. Now look at the records of the opponents he fought after that. The next guy was 0-7. I'm just going to read his opponent's records. Next opponent, 20-13. Then you have 27-10. Then you have 1-2. Then you have 25-14. Then it's 0-1. Then it's 0-1 again. 1-6, 2-3, 15-12, 21-13, and then 6-5. Out of the 14, 4 of the guys that Chavez fought didn't even have one single win. Now, you would think after 14 to 15 fights, the competition got way better after that, but it didn't. Chavez was still fighting the same level of opposition for at least his next 20 fights. But then when Chavez Sr. was 40-0, you know who he fought? He fought Armando Flores. And after he lost to Chavez, he ended his career 0-4, never winning one single fight. And Senior's next opponent right after that was a guy that was 3-3. Listen, I could sit here all day and do this. I could show you guys, or I could just tell you, go ahead and look at Canelo Alvarez's record on BoxRec. Remember, Canelo Alvarez, he turned pro at the age of 15. And it took him 6 years to fight for a watered-down title, fighting against Matthew Hatton at 154. Matthew Hatton, for those of you guys who don't know, he didn't even fight at 154. Not only was he not ranked in the top 10 at 154, he wasn't even ranked in the top 10 at 147, which is where he fought. And yet, some kind of way, Canelo Alvarez was able to fight this welterweight for a world title.
Yeah, bro, it's more the same, bro. I'm sure the longer the video go on, the more he expose them. But end of the day, bro, these guys hitting on Curmel, and a lot of them is not even boxing related. It's racist antics, you know. If Bud goes undisputed 3 times, they'll tell Bud, "Oh, um, you couldn't knock him out. All you do, and but if he all he does is knock guys out, you can't win no decision." So they're gonna find what you don't do, and they're gonna talk about it. But they'll praise their one-dimensional favorite fighters. Canelo, the one-dimensional fighter. Pitbull, the one-dimensional fighter. Ryan Garcia, the one-dimensional fighter. I'm starting to see a trend here. Oscar Valdez, a one-dimensional fighter. You see, their favorite fighters are one-dimensional, and once those dimensions get exploited, the only tactic they can resort to is racism. You know, Tank is 3-dimensional. Terrence is 3-dimensional. I've only seen Abdullah and Curmel fight one way, but they're still prospects. Keyshawn is multidimensional. You know, Shakur is multidimensional. We've seen Devin fight 2 different ways. He wasn't effective, but we've seen him do it. But at the end of the day, we got all these fighters that represent us, and all our fighters clean. Let's not fail to mention that Ryan Garcia a cheat, Oscar Valdez a cheat, Canelo a cheat. All our best fighters clean. Terrence, Tank, Shakur, Keyshawn, all these guys clean. So with that being said, man, like, comment, subscribe, and share this, man. We're on the road to 2K sub, man. Till next time.